And we're back for another episode review of My Hero Academia. I'm sorry if I said exasperated. A lot went on behind the scenes. I don't want to talk about it.
You just abruptly threw me into an episode.
We hear a spear, a magic helmet. We're here to review episode 8, two Flashfires.
You can talk about how frustrated he is with me, but he brings me every week to come back.
I never said I was frustrated. I'm just exasperated. Is basically what I said. Is what a lot happened that I'm not gonna talk about behind the scenes, like it does every week. That'd be like, I mean, if we were to get a record deal or like a DVD deal, maybe we'd like record some of that. But so until that time happens, the sponsors are not gonna take this seriously at all if we ever were to get one. Speaking of sponsors, brought to you by Diet Coke.
Diet Coke specifically, though. Regular Coke can go suck it.
Actually, I guess we're going on tangents before we get into the episode.
I think we started about that Coke Zeros.
I actually drink Coke Zero. I think it's really good.
Coke Zero is making Diet Coke redundant. What does Diet Coke have that Coke Zero doesn't?
Well, I mean, one thing apparently that Coke Zero is advertising is that they have zero sugar. Though I will tell you right now, even though I'm an avid drinker of it, I don't know if I buy that. But whatever.
But Coke Zero has zero sugar. Coke Zero and Diet Coke have zero sugar.
I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm gonna be real about you. I taste a Diet Coke. It doesn't taste the same. It really does not. And that's really where I come down on that. It's like, I just don't like the taste of Diet Coke. I feel like the flavor just got sucked out of it.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's like the only difference.
I mean, I still stand on this hill. Like, if you're gonna get Diet Coke, why don't you just order a Coke? You order the quarter pounder with cheese and extra pickles. Like, that Diet Coke ain't gonna save you from anything. Yeah, I'm talking to you. You know who I'm talking to. I still hope it wasn't that one guy from Brazil, because I think we just lost the scarf. I apologize to that one person from Brazil if that was in fact you I was directly talking to. If you ever hear this.
Person from Brazil, you're our only hope.
We might have lost him if that comment I just made was directed at them. But no, seriously, why is it that these people go order these, like, they go to McDonald's and they order these like these, like, nothing from McDonald's is healthy, by the way. I mean, I'm not delusional on that part, but to me it's like you order that meal, and then when they ask you for a drink, you go for a Diet Coke. Now the person behind you is judging you the moment you said those words. Like, am I wrong?
Are we still talking about Diet Coke?
Yes. I just involve McDonald's in this situation, and I don't ask questions. McDonald's. Is my microphone like cutting out, or is that just you're not listening?
I wasn't listening for a second. I thought I came back to you talking about Donald Trump and Diet Coke because you said the Donald's.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were in the pocket of Donald Trump, or Donald Trump was in their pocket. We're not gonna get into that. This is not a political podcast. I never claimed to be one. What?
It's a conspiracy. You just have to believe in Big Donald.
And moving on, so this podcast video is gonna be a little bit different. Beforehand, I kind of decided that what we're gonna do, I guess for right now, because this is a war, and there's gonna be varying fights in this war. I figured since this would be a good time as any to open up a discussion, and we're just gonna talk about certain things. We still got the notes from our co-host Spear, so we'll also be using that as a jumping off point. Actually, in fact, do I even? Yes, I do. have it open. Okay. I guess our first talking point, or our big whole, starting in this discussion is well, he has him listed here as Egghead. I know who he's talking about, but
I put his name there too.
you did. Oh yeah, you did. You did. But you mean you listed him as Egghead first, so I'm gonna go by that information.
Well, I mean Egghead, right?
We're gonna discuss him because apparently he starts off this entire episode and actually kind of continues with a little bit of a he's connected to Dobby's backstory in a way that kind of shocked me at first, but I guess it makes sense. I just didn't make a connection between him and Dobby because, well, Dobby's insane. I mean, I wouldn't say it to his face or lack thereof, but in this episode, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, apparently after Dobby or Toya had burnt down that forest and nearly burnt himself to death, Toya managed to find his way into the water that apparently managed to cool him off. I was actually kind of surprised that worked too, but I guess it's fire. Why wouldn't water put it out? We cut
He's
to
kind of a crispy critter afterwards, though.
huh?
He's kind of a crispy critter afterwards, though.
Well, I mean, his body apparently can't take his own fire, which is like a really big downside to having fire protection abilities. Intriguing nonetheless. But yeah, he's pretty much charred to a crisp. Basically, I mean, he really should be alive. Which actually cut to 3 years after that incident, because apparently Endeavor thought he was dead. Find out that he was saved by the doctor who said that he took regenerative cells and placed them over Dobby's body to nearly save him. Apparently, as far as he knew, Dobby only... Huh?
I interpreted that voice as All For One.
I think it was the doctor who was speaking to him, actually. I thought it was All For One at first, too. But then, as the doctor kept on talking, it made more sense for it to be him talking to him. Because, like, All For One's a little bit more of a commanding presence. That voice didn't really seem all that commanding. He was, like, more trying to talk Dobby into joining him versus, like, using words to change his mind.
Well, he definitely provoked Dobby into, like, starting a firestorm. The next thing Dobby did was burn everybody around him.
Flashfire!
Yeah, So, I think it's up in the air. You make a good point, but for me, it didn't even occur to me that it was a doctor. I immediately assumed it was.
Well, here's the thing. Here's my counter to your thought process. How is it that the doctor even knows about any of the information that happened after? Like, I don't think All For One would have told him that, and I don't even think All For One would have been nearby for that. I'm pretty sure All For One probably would have heard about it, but like, there's information that I don't think the doctor should have if that wasn't him talking to Dobby through that microphone.
He had 3 years to figure it out, though. Dobby was in a coma for 3 years.
I think this information he still had that he shouldn't have had without being told. I don't even think, like, this would have been... I think the 3 years, would that have been during the time All For One would have been busy with All Might?
Would that have been... I don't know.
Because I feel like All For One would have been busy. I don't think, even if he was aware of Dobby, I don't think he could have had, like, well, we already know that All For One thinks 20 years ahead for some strange reason. But, it's like, Dobby was a little kid when he had that fire incident. I guess he would have been 10 years old at that point. I'm guessing. But Toy was around when Shoto was around. I don't know how old he was when Shoto was born. Huh. Let me look up. So Toya's age. when Shoto was born. Well, this I don't know if this really helps, but I know at least from here they're saying that it was assumed that Toya was like 3 years older than his sister, but apparently Toya, we definitely know that Toya was around like, and he was like 10 months older than his sister when they were born, when she was born. I guess how old is the sister? Huh. Just in the childhood, we know that he was either 4 through 10. At least Shota was 4 to 10. Okay. I'm looking for the family. What's happening? Oh, Yumi is her name? Oh. She's 23 when we see her. If she's 3 months younger, I mean 3 years younger than Toya, he's 26. How old was Toya when that incident happened? I guess is another question. This just brings up more questions than answers, but oh wait. Oh. So to speed forward a little bit, I guess we can travel back. During the backstory, we see that when Toya does come back to the house to see his father, that incident where the mother burns Shoto and he's on the ground and we see Todoroki being a douche. Um, Apparently when Toya comes back, he's 13 years old. So when the incident happened, Toya was 10 years old when the fire happened.
Okay.
I just don't know when did like, because Endeavor would have given up trying to become number one by this point long ago. Uh, when was All Might and All for One fighting before the story started? That's not what I want. I don't want the rematch. Okay, so their fight happened 5 years before their second fight. Deku would have been 13 when he first met All Might. Wait, is that right? Hold up. Oh, he was 14 when he first met All Might. The fight happened 5 years before their second fight. So Deku would have probably been around 9 around that age. And then Toya would have been 13 during all that. This is getting way more complicated even for me to try to suss out. I'm gonna go on a limb. I'm gonna say that maybe even if because it sounds like All For One knew about Dabi, like long before his inclusion here. So I'm gonna. I don't know. Let me listen to that voice really quick. Oh shoot. But would All For One know how to like put cells on somebody?
Would All For One? No.
Because that voice. What?
What about that line when he's talking to him that said, "Your body is damaged permanently, but that we might be able to bring your flames back the way they were"? Why would a doctor say that?
I mean, it's possible that we All For One and the doctor were there at the same time. But my real question about the events of this particular situation with Dabi is like, does that mean that like All Might would have already been? Because like I guess my major question is when Dabi was like this, because he was 13 years old by the time of this. We know Dabi is literally 26, so well, this all happened 13 years prior to now. And I'm trying to place where the characters would have been at this particular time in their lives, but because this all seemed to happen before the story started, I'm having a hard time trying to figure this out. And the whole "we" comment is even weirder to me now, because it's like, okay, that makes it seem like All For One is involved in all this right now, but at the same time, how would All For One know how to implant regenerative cells? It doesn't sound like something he would be able to do. Even with reading a book.
Regeneration is like his favorite thing to do.
Huh?
Regeneration is like his specialty.
Yeah, but being able to put that into somebody's body so their body could utilize the cells? That seems like a very complex thing to do. I don't think All For One's that intelligent.
Well, the person that was telling the story was the doctor.
That's why I assumed the doctor was the one behind the voice.
Dr. Yujiko?
Yeah, that's why I assumed he was the voice that was talking to Dabi at that point. Because I mean, later on, like the doctor does say that, like, to confirm his theory about what's going on with Dabi, because he assumed Dabi was gonna die after he had left all of a sudden, when he came back. Pretty much like when Dabi had confirmed that the doctor was the one that managed to put this managed to fix him up. Because it seemed like Dabi figured that it was him that was talking to him through through the voice box. And the doctor even said that it was him. Like, is that the wrong assumption to make from that conversation he had with him?
No, that doctor makes sense. I thought you were talking about a doctor. But that doctor makes sense.
No, I meant that doctor. I didn't mean a random doctor. I meant the doctor, the only doctor in the show that they've ever freaking shown. I mean, the one you literally called Egghead.
We have other doctors that have been shown on the show.
But the only doctor I have a bone to pick with, stupid third bone in a pinky toe. I'm sorry. That still bothers me. Because it's like, it's such a dumb thing to have somebody say. And even with the doctor being evil, to me, I'm like, that screams that he must be lying. I don't know. I'm just the doctor. He like anytime he because like back when Deku was like finding out that he was quirkless, the doctor said that he didn't have like the third bone in his pinky toe. That that apparently all people who have powers possess. Is what that doctor said. Is what Ujiko said. Because he was the one that examined Deku.
He was?
Yes, we saw in the flashback. The Deku always had. At the doctor's appointment. It was him.
I didn't realize that.
What? We're like so. Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata. I'm sorry. I'm fine.
Why are you getting so mad?
I've been using that particular flashback since we've been reviewing this show. All these years.
I've been hearing you talk about how ticked off you are by the doctor all these years, but I thought it was just the doctor. I didn't realize it was that doctor. I didn't make the connection that it was Fujiko.
Well, I mean, at the time when I was pissed off with it, we didn't have a name. So, you know what? we're gonna move on because the guy's in jail right now. But the events that are unfolding here in this episode, as we see in you know how Dabi managed to get to where he is, Dabi. Well, actually, I say at this point he's still going by Toya, and Toya burns down the forest, ends up going to the water, it ends up being saved by the villains. A creepy daycare attendant with a face that looked like it was sewed on, by the way, which is even creepier to me. I think he's called Mr. Sunny, and he kept on trying to keep Toya at his daycare, or whatever you want to call it, against his will. I was very unsettled by him.
Yeah, I found him much more disturbing than comforting.
I'm glad. I mean, pretty sure Toya found that as well. I mean, because Toya, after his conversation with the voice in the voice box, burns Mr. Sunny and the entire building, like you said, down, and he ends up waltzing the city, trying to figure out what his next move is. And essentially, he as he says, he goes to he ends up lost in the streets, and then he ends up back at the at his old home to see the events that will lead Shoto Todoroki, the youngest, down his path, down the path we see him now. I also want to find it interesting too. I had a thought process here. I completely lost it. I hate that. I had a thought process and I completely lost it. That was a lot to me, apparently. See here, the 3 years in the coma, which is really interesting. I guess it's also interesting too, like Todoroki. I mean, not Todoroki, but Dabi still grew when he was in that coma. But I think that's still common. Like, I don't think you stop growing or aging when you are in a coma. I could be wrong by that though, but I don't think you stop aging when you're in a coma.
I think he was surprised that he aged, and it wasn't a lot to do with the coma itself. I think he was, holy shit, I'm like way older than I remember.
I mean, yeah, I don't think he was expecting to be out for 3 years. I have something to say.
I think like that's secondary. Like the first was, holy shit, I've been in a coma for 3 years. But then when he woke up, he's like, holy shit, like before he knew how long he'd been in a coma or anything, he's like, holy shit, I'm old now.
Well, I mean, when it happened, he was 10 years old. It was only 3 years, so he was like 13. He was a preteen when he woke up.
Probably woke up with a boner or something and just thought, like, holy crap, what is this thing?
I mean, he's holding on to like the scars, the stitches, which is interesting. Like, okay, so the stitches and everything came from a doctor, or the doctor in this case. And he was like, apparently he was gonna die. Like, they had no hope that he was gonna survive. Oh, that's what I wanted to bring up. Something interesting that the doctor, or Uchiko, brings up in the jail cell, because he's talking to a prison guard who is a dog. Again, the show likes to really throw in the half human, half animal people characters for random stints like this. But this guard dog is basically what he is like approaching the jail cell, and he's telling him to shut up. But he brings up an interesting bit of information that I found intriguing. It seems like All For One had scouted Dabi to be the guy that is Shigaraki right now. I guess the body he was going to inhabit. but like, apparently like, giving up on it because like he believed Dobby was gonna like die anyway. That he wasn't gonna live for long. I thought that was interesting. That apparently found out that I guess he was intending to use Dobby as a vessel, but forgone like forgone the conclusion because he could see how Dobby was acting. He was like one foot. He was like I guess a one track mind. But I actually called him. I think it was like monomaniac. I think it's what he called him. I had to look that word up, and I was like, oh, jeez. But that was like, intriguing in and of itself. I was not expecting that. I guess it's not the biggest shock or whatever, but it was not something I was thinking that was a part of like I guess what All for One was thinking.
But it's also interesting that they went ahead and healed him anyway, and then left him in a coma, kept him around in a coma for 3 years to see what if he'd come out of it. When they already knew that he wasn't an acceptable vessel.
Yeah, that is true. They could have just let him die, couldn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, All for One is always thinking.
Potential in him.
Hmm?
They still saw potential in him.
I mean, yeah, like One for All is always thinking. As a chess player, like a professional chess player, it'd be funny if I actually find out All for One's past when he was like, I wouldn't say a decent dude, but a guy without abilities. He was probably a chess player. He comes off as the kind of guy that would be. He likes to be patient for some reason. It's more frustrating when you got a villain that's not concerned about anything, and he's just like sitting there like, I'm just waiting on the world to change. Basically, it's like all he's doing. Nothing ever seems to frustrate him. Even when he gets caught off guard, he doesn't really get upset. He's like, oh well, I'll just enact plan B, Zeta through J.
He has a million different plans in place, all running at the same time.
This makes him a really frustrating antagonist or villain. It's like, geez, man, you just stop being over prepared. What happened to you? After all this is happening, then like their fight, Dobby and Shoto's fight starts to happen. We see Dobby like burning his entire body, all the skin grafts that he had just burn him away, turning into basically a shell of his former self with his like jaw dropping, and he's still able to talk much about it. I thought he wasn't going to be able to, but I guess they needed him to be able to talk regardless because like he needs to be able to get his point across. And he pretty much like goes on this whole tirade about how he wants to like make Endeavor suffer and whatnot. Even before he was like very attached to his old man, which I'm honestly going to sit there and say I'm pretty sure Dobby is still attached to Endeavor, and like in an unhealthy fashion. I mean, because it was unhealthy beforehand, but it got really bad over the years. Again, all this really is just showing that Endeavor is a really bad father, and I really, really hate that this is all that they're doing with his character. But I guess there's no way to really freaking shy away from it. Endeavor did all this because he reached the pinnacle of his own power and got frustrated because he couldn't get stronger because of apparently the heat that was doing to his body.
Building on Endeavor as a bad father, when they have that scene where Dobby like asks him like, come to the top of the mountain with me, Daddy. I want to show you how strong I am. Blah blah blah. Do you see the look of rage on Endeavor's face for some reason?
I mean, yeah. I mean, don't you remember that what happened beforehand? Freaking Endeavor had spent a lot of time trying to get through to Toya that he didn't want him using his quirk because it was dangerous to his body. Like Endeavor has spent a lot of time trying to get through to Toya that he would rather him have a normal life versus trying to be a hero, but Toya didn't want to hear that. And I'm pretty sure a lot of that whole thing with Toya not wanting to hear that came from like Endeavor trying to constantly have a kid that had both him and his wife's powers. So like, I'm pretty sure Toya saw that as a kid and saw like, I'm not good enough. What's going on? Like, why am I not good enough? Like the whole kid, wanting their father's approval. Even the world outside doesn't see like it's worth it. Because the kid is their biological, spawn, like they want approval from their father. And Endeavor not being able to see that, other than just trying to keep his kids safe. I mean, again, these decisions that he made, I can't defend any of them. There was like he probably should have he should have probably tackled this a different way. But I mean, it seems like the whole entire family is like blaming themselves for everything that kind of happened, which I find interesting in and of itself.
But the thing is, like, okay, so what decision? I don't get the decision then, because the next thing they show is the kid at the top of the mountain waiting for his father to come, and
If I remember correctly, like that conversation went, yeah, he wanted him to come up to the forest because he wanted to show him how much control he got over his firepower. I think something happened and it called Endeavor away, but I'm pretty sure Endeavor told him to stay at home and told him to protect his mother. I couldn't tell you exactly everything that happened, but I feel like that was kind of what was happening. Like the events that happened, Toya went up to the mountain against his father's wishes, if I remember correctly. And then Endeavor literally went to the mountain. Apparently, I mean, like the one thing that is kind of missing for this entire situation is that it seems like Dobby didn't think Endeavor cared about him, even though we know that's not true because, well, a couple things. One, Endeavor did go up to the mountain looking for his kid because he did see the fire, and thinking that Toya was in trouble. He went up there, and Endeavor thought he was dead.
the kid's not aware that his father came, though. He was unconscious after he got out of the water.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think the one thing that is missing from this entire thing is that Dobby didn't think that Endeavor or even his other siblings even cared about him. Like I mean, he came when Dobby came back after 3 years looking for his family. Another thing too, this entire family, there's this whole like this whole message of missing information because none of them knew that he showed up at the house. Somehow he got in there and was actually undetected the entire time. But nobody knows anything that happened. You know, like Dobby came back looking for his father. He saw the scene that we saw, like that you know that was Shoto's life. And all before that, I mean, like again, like Toya is a messed up individual. I mean, they even say that, you know, before Awful even got his hands on him, Dobby was messed up to begin with. And it sounded like he was messed up from birth. I don't know what they really were meaning by that. I mean, yeah, his living environment wasn't the best, but again, Endeavor was trying to get through to him that, you know, he can live a normal life and be safe. And but I guess it's another thing too. Toya knew what Endeavor's goal was, and he felt like he was a failure. And I think that's really what Toya was trying to do, is show that, you know, that I'm not a failure. I guess the best way to put it is like that Team 4-Star put it best. Look at me, I'm Trunks. Please love me, Dad.
Oh my gosh.
I think Team 4-Star said it best, even in my opinion.
Did it well for sure.
But it, like essentially, like he wanted love from his father that he didn't think he already had, and Endeavor just not a good shower of any emotion until much later on. And the man starts crying in his hospital bed uncontrollably. The guy, you might as well say he had water powers involved in all that too, but whatever. But a lot of this is to the come that Toya did not think that his family cared about him, and in reality did. I mean, he even goes out his own way to say that he has opinions about Shoto, which I thought was interesting, and I was kind of waiting to see what his opinion was. I'm a little bit disappointed because it's more of like, you could be this, but you're not because you're half baked or whatever. I don't know, sure. I mean, and Shoto confers that, you know, he's unsure of himself, but
But what?
that's why I was just looking up like what half baked was in a dictionary for like slang. So I just happened to see it. I was just trying to see if I couldn't like sprinkle this definition in my sentence. Sorry for not talking and then suddenly stop talking.
You just stopped in mid sentence, and I was like, what?
I don't. I'm starting to wonder if that was mistranslation, or because like it seems like basically, like if we're using it from the literal sense of what Toyo was saying to his brother, um, he wasn't like his brother wasn't done cooking. In terms of like his brother wasn't, I guess, at the pinnacle of his ability, which is possibly true. Granted, here we see that Shoto has been practicing his abilities and has unlocked a new form of power, which allows him to neutralize the heat properties of fire and then completely snuff it out, which I thought was freaking cool. I didn't think that's the direction they were going to go with him. I thought they were going to have it so like heat and cold were ever expanding in like one compact space, and it was going to turn into some kind of like laser technique or something like that. That's what I thought they were going to go with. I wasn't expecting neutralizing flame. I did have the idea of cold flame, but again, I wasn't
Well,
expecting it to. I wasn't expecting it to be a flame that snuffs out other flame. What?
it worked really well though.
I mean, yeah. I mean, basically, Shoto said that he was the only one that could like take on Dabi, which is freaking cool. Like we see a couple of his techniques. We see a couple of his techniques, but before all that, they go into the fight. We see that Shoto was able to uh like the heat around Dabi was like apparently just pretty much cooled down. The heat like apparently Dabi can like ever expand his ability to generate heat, but apparently Shoto can just completely say no, turn that off right now. Just put on the cold shower, and Dabi wasn't expecting it. They also during this entire situation too, they're not really all that important other than like maybe barricades to allow Shoto to charge up his like ultimate technique. Um, the sidekicks of Endeavor, and they all go down relatively easily. They also get a chance to see what I want to also bring up, and this is kind of like what I wanted the discussion to kind of be about too. This entire episode was really impactful to me for not from a fighting standpoint, from just from a character building standpoint for Shoto. Like from season 2 when he introduced into the show, all up until now, he hasn't done much. It's been clear that he's been important for something, but it's like they hadn't done much with him. He's been in a few scuffles, mostly with his brother, and in the movie that he was a part of, he was like the main cast with. The third movie we watched and reviewed, I think we reviewed that one. Yeah, we reviewed it. Uh, he had a fight with like a giant like Nomu thing, and pretty much he had like a cool like little like I'm a powerhouse moment there. But like, those are few and far between. And it's like it's not like with Bakugo and Deku where they had a lot of moments to show us who they were. It was kind of weird with Shoto up to this point, and I loved that we saw a lot of the character growth that he went through within a few like this entire episode with him fighting his brother. I thought it was definitely worth it, and I will say like what I preferred seeing that growth over a couple episodes. Yeah, but I think it works out for him in the long run here. He was leading up to like him solving the family drama that was happening around him.
He solves the family drama, but does he grow as a character?
Yeah, I think he does. I mean, maybe not the most growth, but I mean it's definitely something. He's finally he said he's finally realizing who he wants to be, and apparently he's also thinking back to Mountain Lady when she's talking about like training their special move one night, and the ultimate move was going to be like a showcase of who they want to be. Like it seems like to me, at least if I'm going to take Phosphor like at his face value, he kind of just wants to be like a mediator. He wants to be able to solve issues. I guess pretty much be a hero that solves anything. I think maybe it's like what Phosphor is supposed to represent in his character. Because he even says that he as he was learning and training again, he had to go back and pick up the pieces, and he found out his friends were always like there, waiting for him to come back, and he always felt safe there. Which I guess is something else that it doesn't really show a lot of. Is like he likes being around his friends, which I thought was kind of cool.
I guess you could say that Todoroki grew as a character by symbolically like the heat and cold both come together in his heart. You know what I mean with the attack? Like it starts at his heart. So that's sort of symbolic if you think about it to how he's brought the two things together, heat and cold, and really like overcome his past where he refused to use one because it's what his father wanted. So he really took it to heart, you could say. No pun intended, but you know what I mean. Like he took it to heart that he
Well, I
would get
mean,
over the hang up at the beginning of the episode of having to use the fire quirk and having to reject his father at all times.
yeah, that and the whole like it's your quirk, it's your power. Pretty much, he first even says that in the flashback of Deku, but when Deku's concerned about him fighting Dabi, but it's like it's my power, like, and he just smiles back at Deku. Um,
Yeah, plus he's taking care of his father's business for him.
it seemed like Endeavor really wanted to be there, but apparently he pretty much he said that we need you dealing with an all for one. I thought that was shocking, but I mean, I guess All Might ain't here to do anything, so it has to be on Endeavor.
Yeah, the number one and number two hero, Endeavor and Hawks.
Okay, I thought you were making another like I guess funny there with him being with Endeavor being the number one and number two at one point.
Oh, that's funny too, but no, that's not what I meant. The former number two hero.
Yeah, I guess I want to also. I mean, I know we don't talk about cause I know we don't talk about this. I don't. I mean, I don't know if you like. I mean, I know you don't like Endeavor, and I've already made my I already made my resignations with that. But like much like didn't like how Endeavor handled a lot of his issues. I will say it's probably the weirdest, most human moment he's ever had in terms of, like in this entire show where he's changed to an extent. Like he realized what he was doing was wrong. He even realized that there's really nothing he can do to fix it. Just try to be a better person in the long run. And it seems like he was trying and he was struggling trying to figure out like what that really meant. Even going out of his own way to ask, the retired number one hero All Might for help. We see moments of Endeavor growing and changing, even if it was like too late. Because you could easily write off a character like him saying that he's made a lot of decisions and it's too late to fix them. But like in his own way, he was trying to find a way to like resolve it. Even like for just removing himself from his family's life. But the family realizing that it's probably not the best way to handle all this, and apparently even some of them taking some of the blame that was happening on themselves. But again, I still find it interesting that I guess as a family they're saying this is all their fault. I guess another thing, interesting little bit too. I'm bouncing all the way around here. As they're fighting Davi and Shoto, Shoto brings the fact that yeah, the family was messed up, but none of us went out to kill people like you did. That was also interesting. A little bit of like I guess like a difference between him and his older brother that I found cool. Like he brings the fact that yeah, I mean yeah, I had a horrible life, but I didn't want to turn into a villain because of it. Like I got baggage, and I learned to use my baggage for the greater good, essentially. But essentially, this entire episode gets closed out with Shoto using like his ultimate move. Which, by the way, all his moves had very long names. I have to say.
This one
Um,
has a mythological reference in it. Ager.
I
Or Ager.
misspelled that when I was looking that up. I did not. Okay, so what is the mythological reference?
It's basically it's not a god it's Old Norse. It's not a god, but it's like a god adjacent being called a Jotun. Jotun. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but it's basically a personification of the sea. So think of like Poseidon or someone like that. So he makes a reference to the god of the sea,
Interesting when he uses
or
ice.
or a sea giant too, but
Huh.
Icelandic sea giant. So I mean, there's the
Oh, okay, but
for what it's worth. Not that Iceland is pretty green and warm for a
yeah,
country.
Greenland is very ice.
Yeah, and Iceland is very green.
What happened? Did they lose in a war or some point? Like if we win, we're taking Iceland. Like what?
They, they loved Iceland and they wanted to discourage people from going there, so they made a they
Was
made a
that the real
decision.
reason?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard is that they the people that landed there found a little haven for themselves and wanted to discourage more travelers coming in and trying to move in. So they named it Iceland.
I guess that would probably be the best way to do that. Why would you want
Even
to go? Why would you go?
nomads were like reluctant to go to Iceland.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, like, what do you do to discourage people? You get them to think that something's wrong with the place.
Right.
I guess that makes sense in the long. That's really the reason behind it. I mean, more power to the original natives.
And then Greenland was the opposite. It was basically a giant iceberg, but they wanted to encourage people to move there, so they named it Greenland.
Again, the same logic I said before. It's just that's just mean.
Mm-hmm. Come on over, guys. Suckers.
I mean, you're gonna talk about like really messed up things. I mean, apparently, from what I'm hearing, Australia was like a prisoner country at one point. I still find that really weird, but the stuff I find, it doesn't go into much detail about, like, I guess, like the actual founding of Australia.
Greenland was named by Eric the Red, an Icelandic Norseman who was exiled to the island. He named it Greenland in hopes that the name would attract settlers, despite the fact that most of the island is covered in ice. And then how did... Iceland got its name from a Norseman named Hafthranus Dyrgolsson. Sailed to Iceland with the intention of settling there, but experienced a harsh winter with a lot of ice. Upon seeing a fjord full of icebergs, he named it Iceland, which translates to Iceland, or island, which translates to Iceland. There are some alternative theories as well. Some believe that the name was intentionally chosen to discourage others from settling there, thus preserving its resources for those who were already living there, which is what I had heard. And then previous names, before Fioki, the other explorers had given the name different names, such as Snaeland, which is Snowland, and Garothwell, which is Galah's Isle, but these names didn't stick.
I'm sorry. Did you get something stuck in your mouth while you were reading there?
Look at this word. I'll put it in Discord.
I'm just making fun of you. I'm just like...
You gotta see this word, though.
Do I?
Pronounce that for me, please.
There's some syllables in there that I don't think I have them out. I don't think I even have them out for.
Letters. Like that O with the X over the top of it. I don't know how to pronounce that letter.
But also, like, the Icelandic dialect is much different than American.
Or how about this? Just pronounce this sentence. Read that sentence out for me.
Iceland gets a name from a Norseman named Rafna. Is that a 6? What? Oh, it's an accent. Okay, Rafna Loki
6.
Vilger's son? I don't know.
I love it. Is that a 6?
I couldn't tell at first, so I was looking at it from far away.
Just the level of bewilderment. How do I pronounce 6 as a number, as a letter? I thought it was funny.
Man.
Anyway, so the name is the attack is partially named after an Icelandic embodiment of the sea. Like sort of like a sea giant.
Yeah. Since we're looking things up, I wonder about something. You know what I was like thinking? Phosphor. I guess in a way, Turkey was covering Dobby in it, so. Oh, that's intriguing. Apparently, phosphorus is like used in our bodies as a way to maintain like and repair cells and tissue. Wait, phosphorus glows in the dark? That's disturbing. Okay, enough of that. That didn't help anything. I just wanted to try. But yeah, Prince Shoto ends up ending the fight, knocking knocking Dabi out, and that's just how the episode ends. I don't know, I probably was thinking like that fight ain't over yet, but maybe it is, I don't know. But I also like the fact that there's a little bit of scene, like they've been doing with this show a lot with like, when the characters are fighting each other, you have like the little kid versions fighting. I find it kind of cool that like essentially like when when Shoto went in for the kill, when he punches him, you see like a little Toya and little crap, little little Shoto, like Shoto just punches him in the face. I'm thinking about it. I thought about this just now, but I like to ache in that to him pay his payback for Toya nearly killing him as a kid. Because that did happen. Toya tried to kill him. But it was kind of cool to have a little moment with him and his little, they're like being a little kid talking to each other. Yeah, pretty much the end of the episode. I did not watch like the preview, so I mean, if you saw it, I didn't. But if you want to talk about it, you can.
It's all right. We don't have to talk about it.
Do you want to talk about it?
You want to talk about it?
Why'd you pin this on me? I mean, we can. I don't know.
I was about to rewatch it, but I got logged out of Crunchyroll, so I'm trying to quickly log in so I can rewatch it quick enough. It was a very, very, very rapid fire preview, and it started by saying that they had, hang on, that Shoto had stopped Dabi.
I'm seeing that.
And the other heroes find out, and they're very encouraged by that, very relieved.
Wait, there was this slide of what looked to be Stinger?
Spinner, you mean?
Spinner, yeah, sorry. I keep on calling him the wrong name.
Yeah, there's this moment where like Spinner comes out and he's got a bunch of his misfits with him.
Is it just me or does he look buffer?
He looks like Piccolo gone like giant mode.
Like he doesn't look normal like right now. He looks
mutated or something.
He's got his blade too. I thought that was a part of his arm. It might as well be.
No, it's not part of his arm.
Yeah, I know. I say it looked like it was a part of his arm, but I could see that it's not.
Yeah. And he has a polka dot shirt on.
Yeah, he looks off. He looks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that he's that big unless they're like being figurative about it.
Or maybe All for One gave him quirks, so I did ask about that.
It's possible.
It also looks like in his other arm, you can't really tell. I guess those are just bandages that he normally has on. I don't know why I thought I saw that. I thought a cast. I was like, what's he got a cast on for? Oh, it doesn't even look like his. Oh, his mask fell off. Wait, no, it didn't.
No, it didn't.
What's that white bit near his? I don't know what's happening.
The white bit near what?
Like near his like little red scarf. There's like a white bit trailing off of it.
That's from his eye mask.
But he's got a mask on still, though.
Right, that's trailing off of the mask.
Oh, okay. I can just it looks really weird because it looks like it's coming off of it.
No, it's just
Because where it would look like it should be connecting, I see his purple hair. Maybe that was the animation error. I mean, it happens.
I was thinking it connected in the back and we can't see it anyway right now.
I guess. I mean, I really can't say either way. I just thought that was intriguing.
Well, Spinner's coming in with something to do something.
Apparently that's at the Gunga Villa, so I don't know who these sent there.
What do you think the 5 powers that All For One are you like come out? He takes out his hand and like there's a different power at the fingertip of each hand, each finger. Like one finger.
Well, we've seen one of these.
One finger's covered in bone spikes. One finger's murky. One finger has a screaming head. One finger has like swirls on it. One finger almost looks like it's got a cape going. And the yellow glow.
Well, obviously the one with the head is metal. Sorry, no.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what. That's just like. It's like a horror movie. Is basically what that is. It's like you have a friend in a horror movie, and then they just point the finger at you, and then their finger just turns into a screaming head.
Yeah.
But we've seen the spike drill things. I want to say the ring finger might be propulsion of some sort. I guess the middle finger is wind sives. Is what I'm gonna go with. I think we've seen him do that one time before.
He can use 5 quirks at once too. That's pretty talented.
That thing, I don't even know what that is because it burst open from his finger. It's like the alien thing. It's like so that's what that looks like to me. As for his thumb, that's infected.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Shigaraki's fighting Bakugo.
Well, I mean, for right now, he has to.
I know, but that's going to be a big sign. That's going to be a big opportunity for Bakugo to shine. If he can live up to that challenge. Which he looks like he is. He's smiling in the scene.
I want to bring up something, I guess, before you end this one. Bakugo brought up that he wanted to be the one to fight All For One. How did Endeavor sling that? Because it seemed like Bakugo had a bone to pick with him. Not the bone drills, but like actual like issue to pick with him.
With who?
All For One. Like Bakugo specifically said that he wanted to be the one to take down All For One.
He's not the right person to do it. I think that's all it comes down to, right?
I don't know. I mean, I only really bring this up because, like, I mean, if Deku is allowed to like leave the battlefield, I mean, granted, his situation is a little bit different. He wasn't supposed to be where he's at, as Toga's tendrils grabbed him. That is still weird to me, and it's never really explained. Then again, I mean, if my theory is correct that All For One did give Spinner extra abilities, who's to say he didn't do that to Toga as well?
Well, we don't know that he gave Spinner extra abilities.
He just that doesn't look normal. I'm just saying whatever's going on, whatever's going on with Spinner doesn't look normal. I don't think that's a part of his quirk. Because if it was, I think we would have already seen it.
I don't know if that's like a red herring though.
I can see what you mean, but I just like something ain't right. I mean, of all the pictures of Spinner I've seen, like that is like one of the weirder ones. It's like it's not like it's like he's imposing, but like at the same time, like Spinner isn't the most violent person, as you always said. I mean, like, you said that, you know, he doesn't kill anybody. But in that image, it's like, regardless of the size of his character design at that very moment, that looks like he's about to go on his first murdering spree.
It does.
You know, just leaving out like the whole like his size comparison, just like that's what it looks like to me. So I don't know, but I'm just like throwing out like things and stuff and things because like I don't think the creator would have had characters say certain things without them actually gonna mean something later on. I don't know, but you know. It's been a really weird like reading of words. I'm reading extras backwards and I'm just getting SAR text, but unfortunately the E and X are backwards.
The what are backwards?
The E and X. When you read extras backwards, it doesn't exactly read SAR text. It just reads SART XE. And I really wanted to read SAR text, but unfortunately I didn't get that. I'm just being dumb. I mean, it doesn't really, nothing's really saying. I'm not saying anything there. I'm just reading words. I guess with that, before we end off the podcast, I'm gonna go see if we're still on a roll with the next episode happening next week. Because so far, we're on a roll, and I'm hoping they're gonna keep it up, but I don't know. Oh, this season's gonna run for 21 episodes. That's disappointing.
Why is that disappointing?
I thought they were gonna at least run for the. I don't know. I thought that maybe this is. I mean, this wasn't the last season because he never said that, but it just like I thought maybe they were gonna.
I've heard rumors that it was the last season, but I don't know.
No, this is definitely the last season because they would have made a big deal about it, made some fanfare. And the manga's still going on too. Like, they're done with the war, from what I'm understanding, but there's still stuff going on. Dude, that's June 22nd. June 29th? What day is it? Yep, we're still in a roll. June 29th, this Saturday. So, yep.
They're releasing them on Saturday?
Yeah, they've been releasing them every Saturday.
I thought they were releasing them Sunday.
No, Sunday they're releasing Demon Slayer.
Are you into that?
I've been watching.
I couldn't get myself into it. I watched like 20 episodes or 15 episodes or something.
I've been enjoying it. I know you already told me you didn't like it. I just kept on watching it because I like the story that's been going on. They're getting like I guess this is like the obligatory anime talk that we probably should start doing at some point in these podcasts. But they get into a really good part inside Demon Slayer, at least this season, the Hashira training arc. I unfortunately, because of YouTube and how I love YouTube when it does this to me, I was just scrolling along one day and I just happened to notice the title that kind of caught my interest. So I clicked on it, not even realizing the horror that awaited me, and I got spoiled on a Demon Slayer story bit. I was like very upset.
That stinks.
The worst part is, this is the worst part. Usually when I stumble upon that kind of thing, usually it doesn't really melt to anything. I usually forget about it within a month of time, and the next season it comes out, it picks up like, oh yeah, that's right, I heard about that. No. What happened this time was even worse. I stumbled upon that like a week ago. The following episode this week started up on that story beat. I was very upset. I was like, dang it, I was so close. So I'm just saying, people who watch anime online, if you solely watch the anime, watch the videos titles that you're trying to you're looking at or whatever, because they're trying to pull you in like they did me, and they succeeded. I don't even know who this person is, so I can't even tell you to avoid them, but you just keep on the lookout. If you're trying to watch Demon Slayer solely through the anime, keep on the lookout. They're out there trying to take your views.
Watch yourself. Watch yourself, people.
But I guess with that, I don't think there's anything else I'm watching that maybe worth talking about here, but no, not really. But okay, so I guess with that, we'll come back next week, and that will be like the week before the week of 4th of July, or in Canada's case, Canada Day. I'll be able to celebrate our Canadian counterparts, if there are any of you watching this, and also that one guy and that one person from Brazil, if you're still here.
That one guy from Brazil, he's my bro.
Sorry.
If I had a sister and he wanted to date her, I'd let him. That's how I feel about that guy from Brazil.
Never even met him.
I know, but I know he's a good guy.
I guess with that, we're gonna end the podcast episode here. That one guy from Brazil, I guess you heard him. If you had a sister, you would be able to date her. Unfortunately, he doesn't.
He is Brazil. You know what I mean? That's what he'd be. I want to be his Brazil.
Okay. I guess with that out of the way, we can end it here. See you guys next week for the next episode of My Hero Academia. I hope it keeps getting better from here. See ya.
Bye.